Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. And the first day of the IPL 2022 mega auction has been completed. And today, in this video, I'm going to be ranking each of the 10 franchises in terms of how I felt they performed in this first auction day. And before I continue, there was a lot of money spent today, more than probably you would have seen in any auction, and certainly even last time's mega auction, since there are 10 teams this time. And I think that because of two extra teams, there was an increased competition for players. But even then, some of these players today would be thinking, they'll be feeling extremely happy that they've got such exorbitant sums of money, some of them. I mean, there are players who would probably have gone for maybe 1 crore in previous auctions, and they've ended up going for 6 crores. And many and players like David Warner and Johnny Bairstow going in kind of the 6.75, I think, crores. And then there are other players comfortably above those, and you think that Warner and Bairstow are amongst the high-profile players in this auction. So there was some very ridiculous prices. And I know there was some extra competition this time round, but even then, I just thought that some of the prices, and I'll go through them when I talk about the players that franchises bought. They are honestly ridiculous. So I'll get into things first. And at number 10, the team which I thought performed not too great in this first auction day is KKR. Now, they bought a statement signing in Chelsea, 12.25 crores, and I was thinking they'll buy back Owen Morgan to be their captain, but I'm sure that Chelsea will be their captain now, and honestly, it's probably an improvement in the batting front as of now. And yeah, I feel really happy for him. I think he wanted a project, and certainly he'll be given I think he'll be really, really happy with its price and also the fact that he's got this platform. And yeah, he's got some players to captain. He's got Andre Russell, Pat Cummins, Sunil Narayan Chakravarti. He's got some good players there. But if you look at the purse they have available, they've got 12.65 crores. And I think they've bought 9 players they've bought, I think. They've bought 3 overseas players out of those. They only have 12.65 crores left. And it's going to be a tough ask for them to fill more slots in there, or a significant number of slots in their roster. And yeah, they've really spent a lot of money, only bought 9 players. And if you look at their batting, you'd think, what? Venkatesh are opening with someone. Number 3, Nitish Rana, number 4, Shreyas, or you could kind of interchange them around. They'd probably need to get a number 5, Russell 6. And the team, look, you've always, first in the last few years especially, you've seen with KKR ever since the 2018 mega auction, where their first 11 is quite hard hitting, and they do rely on their overseas stars, and certainly they've got a star Indian player in Shreyas, an all-out star Indian player, which has actually been it's been a while since they really had that star Indian player. You could say Shubman Gill, but even he's quite young in his career. And Shreyas Iyer, I think that yeah, this is really a statement signing by them. But apart from those players, apart from the first 11, they don't really have the squad depth. And if you can even see here, they've picked 9 players, so not even a full team's worth. And that's not what I'm touching on here. It's the fact that the batting, they're going to have to bolster the batting. They've picked 3 of their overseas players, and sure, Sunil Narayan, Andre Russell would play. And even then, would they play every game? I'm not so sure. Pat Cummins, how many games did he be missing in Australia's tour to Pakistan? And then they'll probably have to get a new bowler and a death bowler as well. And yeah, I think that they do have quite a lot of work to do tomorrow. And if they're looking for Indian batsmen to bolster their batting, well, if you see how many batsmen are available, I'm just going on, I think now. There's Ajika Rahane, there's Mandeep Singh, and then that's pretty much it. Because if you look at the rest of the names, I know they bought Karun Nair before. Are you really going to... that's not going to solve their problems. And I just feel like anyone who's looking for an Indian batsman Look, there are 10 teams in this auction, so 2 more teams, and I just feel like the number of players has kind of remained the same, and so because of that, there's the resources for Indian players, they're quite stretched, and so you kind of have got a situation where going into the next day, a team looking for an Indian batsman has to get Ajinkya Rahane as their main target. Otherwise, things are looking a bit difficult. And now, I think KKR should get Rahane because they need another opening batsman. As I said, I think that they've got quite a lot of gaps to fill and only 12.65 crores. And yeah, I feel like if you look at the injury concerns, the fitness concerns they have as well, they've overpaid quite a lot for some players, and they've had to because I said the ridiculous bidding competition in players like Mavi and Rana. Mavi's a good prospect. Rana has been kind of, you could say, more integral to KKR's plans, and to an extent Mavi has as well. But you would usually say on a given day, despite the acknowledgement that they are good players, there wouldn't be kind of over too much bidding for both these players, and yet they've cost a combined 15.25 crores, so it's absurd bidding in this auction, and that means that it's really hit KKR hard because 12.65 crores they have to spend, and they have to somehow buy quite a lot of players. I think the minimum's 18, and they'll be looking to get, I'd say 23 is a good number out of 25. They have a lot of work to do tomorrow, and I think that if they want to get an Indian batsman to really bolster their batting, Ajinkya Rahane to open their batting is worth it. Because if you're looking apart from him, there really isn't much to speak of for the players that come afterwards. And also, I think that the overseas players like Aiden Markram, I think that he'll be a very good fit opening the batting if you're going to put Ajinkya Rahane to the bench. And they need to get a number 5 as well. And I think that if you're looking at these players, because as I said, the Indian batsmen probably they are the out and out batsmen apart from Rahane. I don't really think that there is much to speak of this time around. And I actually think Vijay Shankar would be a player that they would get because he's a proper batsman and he can bowl as well. He's in the all-rounders category. And I think they'll be looking to get him. And as far as Rahane is concerned, I think that KKR, they don't really have much competition because I think CSK have Gaikwad and Uthappa. They may want to get Rahane as a first team starter. Then if you're looking down the list, maybe SRH if they're thinking that there's Williamson, and I know there may be a burden if both of those two play in the same team, but just to get some solidity, if they don't get anyone else, they may want to get him. But apart from those two, KKR don't really have much competition. But of course, as far as the purse, I think they have around about the other two teams, CSK and SRH, have 8 crores more than them still left. So they still have that in their favour. So I wish KKR the best of luck, all the teams the best of luck, but they really have left themselves a lot to do. And as Shreyas Iyer, who captained the Delhi side that have so much quality, so much squad depth, he'll be happy for his opportunity, but he has his work cut out with this side, and I wish him all the best. And so that was KKR, an unfortunate 10th place for them. In the 9th place, it was a toss-up between RCB and CSK, but I went with CSK because their strategy is effectively been buying back the players that they had before. In fact, the only new player in their side is Tushar Deshpande. Would they have really thought of buying him before the auction? They probably wouldn't have. And the reason why I'm putting CSK in 9th place, right? You'd think, okay, they can buy the players that they had before back and establish a core. Now, I thought that core would include Faf du Plessis and Shardul Thakur. And I think that if you really got the players that were the standout performers as a priority, then okay. If they had got those two players, then I wouldn't mind. Now, as I said, something which I didn't foresee, something which they wouldn't have foreseen, but still they should have done better than they did do. The bidding for players, the high competition, and in the end, Faf du Plessis, who I thought being underrated always, would go for probably 5 or 6 crores max. He went for 7 crores and RCB bought him. And so because of that, CSK had to look for another opening partner, and someone who would have been a great reserve opener has ended up, right now at least, having to be their first team opener, Robin Uthappa, someone who doesn't play really cricket apart from playing the IPL. Then Ambati Raidu for 6.75 crores, and they've lost to Percy for 7 crores. And as you can see, things didn't really help. Deepak Chahar, 14 crores, I think was worth every penny. If they didn't get him and Thakur, it would have pretty much been finished, really. And Dwayne Bravo, 4.4 crores, but is he going to really be the same player? I'm not sure. And you've actually seen that they've effectively bought the exact same team, apart from Tushar Deshpande. And if these players get 3 years older, or even there's a question mark every year as to whether they'll do well. They do okay, especially since they've got. I think it shows how good a captain Dhoni actually is. Where with this side, there's been written off pretty much every year since 2018. Yeah, he's got 2 championships and was the runner-up. So he effectively should have 3 championships. So it's honestly extraordinary. But I just think this year is 1 year too many, and it's going to be 3 years too many, because the next mega auction is going to be in 3 years' time. These players will be 3 years older. Will they be able to maintain the same effectiveness? The rust will start kicking in, and I thought that they should go with retaining the core, the prominent, successful part of the core, and then getting in some new players. They've clearly, I think, overdone it. Yes, the team looks good on paper, but this CSK team will always look good on paper. And you have to consider the context when you're looking at this side. I thought the team for last season was a great one. And that's why I was really confident going into that season. And look, they won it. Whereas in this case, the team looks good. It's the exact same team, bar one player. They've got some core players. I think the retentions have saved them quite a lot in this case, with Jadeja, Gaikwad, Dhoni and Moeen Ali. And Chahar been bought as well, but I just think that I would have expected a few more players. And what was really frustrating was that, look, they didn't have that much money compared to the others. 48 crores. And so when they were trying to bid for a Shah Rukh Khan, you saw that they struggled after a while. They were pretty much outbidded and narrowly outbidded by RCB for Dinesh Karthik. Tried to go for Puran, were outbid as well. Tried to go for Kunal Pandya, who I wasn't surprised since they tried to buy Krishnappa Gautam before, and they were outbid for him as well. So because of their purse getting lower and lower, and there was no real room for error in this case for CSK, because you can't waste 7 crores on someone, because then pretty much that was 5 to 7 crores is pretty much the benchmark for this auction, because of the prices that, again, such a huge increase in prices. And so 6.75 crores for Ambati Raidu, and missing out on a Shah Rukh Khan, missing out on a Faf du Plessis, missing out on a Shardul Thakur. I think that they have quite a bit of work to do in tomorrow. I think Rassi van der Dussen, I think he's a very, very underrated player who will do a great job for CSK. Devon Conway is also there as well. I've seen him play quite some brilliant innings in the middle order for New Zealand. And I think that he could really play in this side, but I think Van der Dussen would be a really good option at the top of the order, so open with Gaikwad. And Rahane, if they want to do a safe bet, as I said, if you're looking to get an Indian batsman, Rahane is pretty much the only one on this list that they'll be looking at. And I think that Lungi Ngidi, in the overseas fast bowlers, buying him back will be a bit of a saving grace, not entirely, because Thakur was an integral part of this team. But I seriously think that this whole let's buy the team back, they can't keep on doing this. They've done it 1 year too many for me. And when all the other franchises are buying the more the players are playing more regular cricket, I just think that because of the man that this side is being captained by, and he has experience working with these players, I'm sure that that's why I'm not writing them off, but I do think that this is a very lazy strategy in a way. They may have some method to it. I won't be surprised if they do. But while there are some good parts to this team, they clearly haven't done enough. And I really felt that today they were really outbidded for the players when they were trying to chase players. And yeah, that really didn't help them. So CSK for the ninth place. And then RCB in 8th. Now, RCB only have... Now, CSK have 20.45 crore left. Let's see what they do. But RCB have 9.25 crores left. And they have bought 3, 6, 9, 11 players with 4 overseas players. They've bought Faf du Plessis, who would open with Virat Kohli, a very good opening partnership. They need to buy a number 3, I reckon. Maxwell 4. They need to buy number 5 with Dinesh Karthik 6. Hasaranga 7. Hazelwood 8. Siraj 9. Harshal 10. You'd think it would look good. But what I'm trying to say is this. I felt like, yes, I thought they'd buy back Harshal Patel, and there are two things to this. One, it was quite a hefty sum of money, 10.75 crores, but you could say that, I've mentioned this umpteen times now, the dynamic of this auction, that was an okay price to pay, and they would have paid that or been prepared to pay that because he was a core member of their side. Hasaranga, they didn't even play him in the knockout games where that was purchased for the spinners, and when they received him as a replacement player. And so the fact that they've paid 10.75 crores, it's just a very, very baffling to me. And I'd like to pause there because it was actually at this point in time when the auctioneer, Hugh Edmeades, I think in some cases, in some ways says he fell ill. In other cases, says he kind of fell over. I don't know, but he's all right now, and I think he'll be joining the team. Rather not joining the auction from tomorrow. And the auctioneer who came in his place for today for the rest of the auction, I can't remember his name, but he did a very good job, I thought. So yeah, I think that I wish Hugh Edmeades well, and I think well done to the auctioneer that took his place today. And so yeah, I think Hasaranga 10.75 crores, and in the end they missed out on Yuzvendra Chahal for an absolute steal for 6.5. He went to Rajasthan Royals alongside Ravichandran Ashwin. So I just think that yes, Hasaranga is good, but you can tell, look, he's not, compared to the other spinners like a Chahal, like a Rashid Khan, he's not a force yet in T20 cricket. He's still playing his trade, and he's showing some very, very good things for Sri Lanka, and he did deserve a bid in this auction. He's a quality player, but 10.75 crores, bidding the same amount for someone who was part of your plans and had a record-breaking or joint record-breaking season the last time around, Harshal Patel, and then missing out on really the face of your franchise, one of the faces of your franchise in Yuzvendra Chahal. I think that wasn't ideal. They bought Hazelwood, they've got Siraj, so they're building a nice bowling attack. They've got those 3 seamers in Siraj, Hazelwood, and Harshal Patel. I still think the death bowling may be a bit... On flatter surfaces or faster surfaces, and they're playing, I think, in the Maharashtra area for this tournament. And so if they encounter better surfaces, will Harshal Patel be able to rely on bowling cutters all the time? I don't think so. Hazelwood isn't really too bad at the death, but he's learning as a T20 bowler, and Siraj isn't really a death bowler. So they're going to have to buy a death bowler in tomorrow. And I think that they're going to have to buy a number 3 and a number 5 batsman. They have got some good players there, a finisher and Dinesh Karthik, and certainly they've made it so that the batting lineup does not rely on Virat Kohli and Glenn Maxwell. And so there have been some positives, but overall with the players that they didn't buy, and they've only got 9.25 crores available. They have to get at least 12 players and 4 overseas slots to get in a competitive auction. Things may be a bit difficult, and certainly, as I said, I don't think Rahane is in question for them at all. So Indian batsman probably isn't necessarily the case here. There are some hitters in the overseas slots, but Depends about their team dynamic because they've got Faf du Plessis, Glenn Maxwell, Josh Hazelwood, Hasaranga. They won't be able to play anyone else. So they've got a bit of thinking to do. That's why I put RCB in what's it? I put them in 8th place, and honestly, I actually thought of putting them in 9th place and CSK in 8th place. And the reason why I thought that was, as I said, CSK have got that those Indian batsmen as a template in this side, whereas RCB have positions to fill, and there aren't many prominent Indian batsmen left in the auction. So yeah, that's the reason why 8th or 9th for them. The next team, I'm going to get through these quite quickly. So SRH, I put them in at 7th. Now, I could see the reason why they didn't go for Besto, I think, is because they didn't want to fall into the option of having 2 overseas batsmen at the top of the order, and then the all-rounders and the spinners exactly the same thing. But also, I think that they've had a middling performance, but veering towards the not a too bad performance, but I'm saying that, yeah, very kind of average. And I mean, they bought Kane Williamson retained, yes. Rahul Tripathi I thought was a very good buy. Nicholas Puran for 10.75 crores. Now, it wasn't actually confused that SRH bought him. It was actually confused that KKR, despite having 20 crores left and having to get, I think, 11 players at that time, what they've done is, at least 11 players at that time, they've bid for 10 crores for Nicholas Puran, and it was a blessing in disguise that they didn't get him, because if they'd bid for him and they'd got him, they would have been in dire straits. Yes, the player is very good, but for the purse available, it would not have been great for them at all. And already in the end, they only have 12.85 crores left. So if they had bid for him, they would have been doomed. So good for them. They didn't go for they didn't get him in the end. But if you look at SRH, they've actually bought quite a few players back in Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Abhishek Sharma, who are ridiculous price in 6.5. I mean, I completely am stunned as to how he's gone at almost the same money as he's gone for even more money than David Warner. I mean, it is just, I don't know what to say. Kartik Tyagi, if he bowls the way that he bowled, I remember when Butler scored the 100 and he was a huge positive for Rajasthan Royals with the ball when he opened the bowling. If he bowls with pace, I think he's quite a good signing for them. Bhuvneshwar Kumar bought back for 4.2 crores. I think it's actually quite a steal. Shreyas Gopal as the leg spinner. I thought they'd get Hasaranga, and they did bid for him. I think that quite a lot of the time they did bid for the players that I thought they'd go for. For all franchises rather, but then they didn't think RCB would go way over the top, and then just I don't know what that was about from RCB. But Washington Sundar, once again, they've got these all-rounders in the lower order that I think that their batting seems more trustworthy at this point. It doesn't. I think they're a lot more. They can rely on their batting much more in this case, but there isn't really this. There are some good set of players here, but there aren't really these X-factor players that jump out at you. I think that Nicholas Puran going to a team that's rebuilding already. Nicholas Puran, his T20 form isn't that bad, but he didn't have a great IPL season the last time round, and his ODI form has not been great. So clearly his confidence is in a bit of a limbo, despite his T20 form hasn't been that bad. And in a franchise which is looking to rebuild its team, I think that it will be a huge ask on him with the price tag as well. He will really be an integral member of this batting lineup. He's going to have to perform, which I'm sure he can do. But I think that we'll have to see how he goes in this season. I actually think that he will go okay. But especially right now, 10.75 crores, despite all the talent, you could say it's quite a risky bid, but in a way it's better SRH got him rather than KKR. And Kane Williamson up at the top, I think that they would have wanted to get a more slang-bang overseas opener. And I said that because what I'm trying to say is, Kane Williamson on his own, let's get an Indian opener to go open with him. Oh look, there's only Rahane, who him and Williamson batting together, you wouldn't exactly say it would be a great combination, and so you have to go for an overseas player, and that's exactly the thing they didn't want before, because now they have Nicholas Puran in the middle order. So yeah, it's effectively the same thing which has happened from before. So and they don't have Rashid Khan either or Hasaranga. So yeah, I'm laughing here because things don't really seem that well for them. They don't really have an overseas, or rather an X-factor player there. So yeah, that's on them. And so I put them on 7th and 6th MI. Now, I'm only putting the Mumbai Indians in 6th because of the amount of players. Sorry, I'm just laughing about that. The amount of players that they've got. And they've actually bought pretty much the core of their team back, and they've bought Rohit Sharma, Suryakumar Yadav, Pollard, and Bumrah retained. And Ishan Kishan, they effectively just they didn't bid for a single player. They just saved their money for him, and they bought him for a whopping 15.25 crores. And yeah, I actually think that it was quite a very good buy. He was part of their core. He's an India player. And getting him to open the batting with Rohit Sharma, with Suryakumar Yadav at 3 or 4, Pollard at 5, and Bumrah opening the bowling, or rather wherever he bowls, it's a very, very good core. And despite the fact that they haven't really bought too many players, and so they've bought, I think, they've bought 8 players, and they bought 2 overseas players. So they have 6 overseas players they can buy, and all in all, 19 more. 17 more players they can buy. Or no, I think they should buy at least 16 players. They have a decent purse. I think the second biggest purse going into the second day, 27.85 crores. So actually, there's a case to put Mumbai in, I'd say, at least 5th, because I'm only putting them here because of the players that they haven't bought too many players. But you're looking at the other, if you're comparing CSK and the Mumbai Indians, you're looking at the players that the Mumbai Indians have, and you're thinking they're playing regular cricket. They bought Murugan Ashwin at 1.6 crores, an absolute steal. Basil Tampi as well. I just think they bought him to just start getting a few pace bowling stocks. And so tomorrow, definitely, they'll be looking at the 2 overseas fast bowlers I'd like to go with. They wouldn't have wanted to lose out on Trent Boult. And I think if Ishan Kishan wasn't going for 15 crores, I really think that they would have gone for Quinton de Kock and Trent Boult. They would have wanted to buy their team back. It's because they knew that Ishan Kishan would cost this much. And if you're looking at the overseas bowlers, Adam Milne, they like going for him. I'm sure that they would go for him. Riley Meredith, it's interesting. I think that actually SRH also could go for Riley Meredith. I think he deserves another chance. I'm not going to explain why that is, because I've explained it 2 or 3 times before. And especially in my recent videos as well. But I'm saying that he really, I think, with his express pace, bowling hard lengths, if he doesn't have to bowl at the death, I really think that it'll be quite a good signing. And that's the Mumbai Indians. I really think that they have some work to do, and they're only behind the 8 ball in terms of the players that they've bought. But in terms of the purse, things are in their favour, and their first 11, their players that they've got, it's a brilliant set of players. So despite, I think that with this Mumbai Indians team, I really think that it's actually much better than it looks. In fact, they've got a really good foundation going into that second day, and they don't have to worry about I think they have a room to accommodate that overseas batsman, because Ishan Kishan's playing instead of Quinton de Kock up top. So an overseas middle order batsman, I think they can accommodate in this lineup. And yeah, this has foundations to be a really good team. And then yeah, that was the Mumbai Indians. And the 5th, I've gone for the Punjab Kings. Now, they have they have 28.65 crores remaining. So they had the biggest purse coming in today, and the biggest purse going into the next day. And they've bought Shikhar Dhawan and Johnny Bairstow as their real and Rabada as their real big buys in this auction. And they bought some of the other players that they had before. A 9 crore bid for Shah Rukh Khan, a magnificent finisher, and I'm not surprised he got that much money at all. Rahul Chahar, 5.25 crores to really build their bowling attack. And they've also retained Arshdeep Singh as well. I really think this has the making to be a very good attack. Brought back Ishan Purel for 25 lakh. I really think that this has the making to be quite a good side. They obviously have their all-rounder issues from before, as they probably need to fix. And I really think that they would want to get the one thing that they do have the problem is because of the middle order batsmen. And so I think that if you look at both RCB and Punjab Kings, I think someone like, and KKR as well, I think Vijay Shankar, despite the fact he played in the TNPL, he didn't set it alight. I think his high score was like 42 or something. Uh, he I think that he's actually in for quite a big bidding day tomorrow, because if you look at the batsmen that teams will be looking for, they're actually in the all-rounder slots, and I think Ajinkya Rahane and Vijay Shankar, especially Vijay Shankar in that middle order, I think he's really going to be given a platform by any side to come good, because or most sides to come good. Certainly one of RCB, KKR, and Punjab Kings, because at least those three, because despite the fact that you could say people haven't really heard too much about him, he's been, I think, playing domestic cricket. People haven't really been hearing too much about him apart from in the IPL. But I really think that it's an opportunity for him to get a really big payday tomorrow. And I think we need to go for him. Overseas batsmen would be predominantly the players that teams will be looking to fill in the middle order. And obviously they need to get a bowling kind of other bowlers as well. Rabada and Arshdeep Singh, I actually think in the death bowling, even if they have to rely on those two, it's not too bad. A more wicket-taking spinner, I think that they would want to get, because Rahul Chahar, I think that from the Mumbai Indians, they had Kunal Pandya, Rahul Chahar and Jayant Yadav. They weren't really... they weren't, especially in this latest season, the wickets weren't really coming with those players, apart from in one game when Chahar got 4 wickets. And I think that, that's for the Punjab Kings. I would say Fabian Allen would be a great option for this side to finish the innings and bowl a bit of left-arm off-spin. You could put Akil Hussain in that as well, who's catered to more of a bowling all-rounder. And I actually think that as far as the resources that Punjab have, I really think that they've got a brilliant top 3 in Dhawan, Agarwal and Bairstow, and Shah Rukh Khan as a finisher as well. They've got this makings of a really good side. They've got a way better template than before. And I wish them well, and I hope that they can execute the things that they would like to execute tomorrow. And so that's Punjab in 5th. And 4th, Lucknow. And I put them in 4th because you could either put Lucknow or the Gujarat Titans in 4th. I'm trying to see who. Depends, actually. I do. You know what? I'm gonna put the Gujarat Titans in for 4th, just because of the fact that Lucknow seem to have more of an 11 there. The Gujarat Titans, they have 18.85 crores available. They've got debut Jason Roy, who I think it's a steal, yes, to buy him, but we have to see how he would do it, because as I've said before, him in the IPL and mostly him in the subcontinental leagues we haven't seen the best of Jason Roy. He's in better. I think he's better placed now to do well than before. He's at 116 in the PSL, playing for the Quetta Gladiators. So there's recent subcontinental success, but I think if the pitches are good, he'll be quite a decent player. But even then, seeing what he's done in the IPL so far, it'll be interesting to see what he does. And Shubman Gill, Jason Roy, they need that middle order. That's something that they're going to have to think about, because there's a void, because you have Hardik Pandya at number 5 or number 6. You've got Tewatia at 7 or Rashid Khan at 8. And I think the bowling is quality in Shami and Lockie Ferguson, so they've got the makings of a good side. Noor Ahmad, 17 years and 40 days old, and he's been picked to an IPL team alongside a cricketing ambassador for the country of Afghanistan and Rashid Khan. So I really think that, I'm very happy for him. Rahul Tewatia for 9 crores is a bit of a rip-off, to say the least. I think that you get 1 or 2 good games in like 2 seasons, and there's nothing else. So it was good to see him get that money, but at the same time, it's just ludicrous. Sai Kishore is secretly a good buy, actually. I think that he's a promising off-spinner, seeing him in the TNPL, and I hope that he can come good. And they're going to have to get some... once again, Vijay Shankar is going to be a player for this side as well. Mandeep Singh also, but more prominently, I think, Vijay Shankar. And otherwise, they're going to have to get some overseas players. If they're playing Lockie Ferguson and Rashid Khan, they're going to have to get a backup fast bowler, because Lockie Ferguson is fairly injury-prone. And yeah, I have quite, despite the fact that they have a good base, I think that that middle order, and they have to finish up their bowling attack. So they have quite a bit of work to do, and they have 18.85 crores. The competition may be quite a lot tomorrow, and I'm sure it will be. So that's them on fourth. Third being the Lucknow Super Giants. They have got quite a good 11 in Quinton de Kock and KL Rahul. And I actually thought Quinton de Kock would go to the Punjab Kings. I thought that would be a really good fit for him. But they've got Johnny Bairstow, so they've got that keeper batsman there anyway. So Quinton de Kock, KL Rahul, Manish Pandey, a very good top three. Strike rates may need to be regulated. I'm saying if you got those two and you got Manish Pandey would probably have to score to the rate that we know he can. I mean, he's batted at number 5 in T20s for India, and so he can definitely increase his scoring rate, and also they've been, despite the fact that you could say his time in SRH mostly hasn't been a great one, he's played quite a few good innings at the number 3 spot. So I really think that this is a very good top 3 that they've got. Marcus Stoinis retained, or rather bought in pre-auction. Jason Holder, 8.75 crores. He's one of those cricketers in T20 cricket, which I think he's probably more of a batsman for me than a bowler. And I know before I said he probably isn't as good of a player as spin and of playing spin as he is playing pace. And I guess that he's not terrible playing spin. I mean, even then, I think that I just saw him not pick some of the deliveries from Narayan, and I think that I kind of said that overall. But he isn't terrible against spin, and I think that he's actually quite a good buy. You've got a proper batsman and a very apt bowler who I don't think will play a central role in this side. I think he'll be a support cast bowler, but he's still a very good buy. Deepak Hooda, Krunal Pandya, two very good buys once again. Depends how they'll get along in the team, and I hope things are okay there. But two very good cricketers, two capped cricketers for India, and that's a very, very good top 7 if you like. And then you've got the likes of Mark Wood, depending on injury. I hope that he's injury free for most of the season. 7.5 crores for him, but I think if he plays the majority of the games, it will be a very good addition for the side. Along with them, they've got Ravi Bishnoi, and they've also Avesh Khan at 10 crores. I really think that the death bowling with Mark Wood and Avesh Khan, it looks good there. Ankit Rajput as well, a promising bowler. They got him for 50, like a steal, you could say. And yeah, I really think as an 11, this team, it looks very, very good. Probably an extra spinner, and I'd say some proper batsmen, because they're relying on the all-rounders in the middle order after Manish Pandey. But yeah, apart from that, this is a very, very good team. I think you could say that it depends if the impact overall that these all-rounders offer, and that's the reason why I'm saying that getting proper batsmen is also very important. And they're gonna have to get overseas batsmen for the most part, unless, as I said, Vijay Shankar, he's gonna be so integral tomorrow. And yeah, I really think he's gonna be a huge part of the auction tomorrow. And that's on this team. I really think that they've established an 11, which is good, which is, you could say, not many of these teams have done. Actually, this is one of the few teams that have done that. So I'm actually going to put them in 3rd place. I think that they've done quite reasonably well in this auction, in this first day. Then I'm going to put, so I put them in 3rd place. Actually, no, I put them in 4th, I put them in 3rd. I'm trying to think who else. So MI6, Punjab Kings 5, and then I put Gujarat Lions 4, Lucknow 3. Yes, so Rajasthan Royals I actually put in 2nd place. 12.15 crores left, not too much. But when was the last time Rajasthan Royals had this kind of a core of players? It's been quite a long time. I'd say since the 2015 times, and they had just Steve Smith and Shane Watson. But they've got R. Ashwin, Trent Bolt, Yuzvendra Chahal and Prasidh Krishna. They've overpaid Prasidh Krishna slightly, 10 crores, when Avesh Khan is getting the same monies. Once again, I just don't get these dynamics, to these price comparisons today, but that's the way it is. A ridiculous sum of money for Shimron Hetmeyer, who I still think can do a job. I thought he was really good last season for the Delhi Capitals in that finisher role. and so he can play a role in this if the batting surfaces are better, since they are most likely going to play this in Maharashtra. And Devdutt Padikkal, if you actually saw the owner's face after he bought him, he clearly thought he was just going to increase the price. It was a bit of a risk because it was only a two-team thing, and I think that in retrospect, they wouldn't actually mind them buying him, I feel like, because, as I said, if you're looking for the Indian batsman, you'd rather have Devdutt Padikkal than look for the players, most of the players who are going to be there tomorrow. So I think that one of the people in the ownership group made it apparent that he was going to bat at number 3. So Jaiswal opening with Riyan Parag. Butler and Jaiswal opening, Padikkal at 3, Samson at 4, which I know he's been demoted a position, but I think he can still bat at 4. Hetmeyer at 5, someone else at 6, and you've got the base then with the ball, Ashwin, Chahal, Trent Bolt, and Prasidh Krishna. So I think that they've done quite decently well. They've got a solid base in this auction. They've got, I would say, 9 of their players. You could say in the first 11 are pretty much sorted. They just need a few more players. I think that they need that real. Yes, they've got Prasidh Krishna, but you could say if they buy a death bowler, it would be good. That overseas number 6. And yeah, I just think that maybe another backup overseas batsman as well. They probably need a. I think that definitely another Indian seamer. The Indian seamers category is quite a bit more decent than the Indian batsman. And yeah, I think that there are some players like Chetan Sakaria who did quite well from before. I was surprised they didn't buy Mustafizur Rahman back, and a steal from Delhi Capitals to get him at base price, I think. Navdeep Saini will be quite a prominent player in the Indian bowlers, because, as I said, if you look at the others, it's actually not, despite the fact that there are quite a few Indian bowlers. There's Srisant as well, who interesting to see who's going to bid for him. But if you're looking at the Indian seamers, there are Khalil Ahmed and Chetan Sakaria, Sandeep Sharma, Ishant Sharma, Navdeep Saini. I'd say Navdeep Saini and Chetan Sakaria, Khalil Ahmed are probably the most prominent in this list. I think the others, they've played quite a few, some cricket now, and I think that they'll probably be more prepared to stick with these 3, especially if you look Navdeep Saini and Chetan Sakaria, than the others. So I think that they're going to have to go through some competition to get those players. But I think that overall things have been quite good for them. And I really think, I never thought I'll give them second, but I really think that they've done quite well on this first day. So I'm giving them second. And the team which, honestly, they have, despite all the chaos in this auction, the team that has just spent wisely as if nothing as if everything's just like a normal auction. The Delhi Capitals, absolutely brilliant, number 1 by, I'd say, a good distance. And they've secured some steals. The only team to really secure some steals, really, probably the most steals in this team than any other side. Shikhar Bharat at 2 crores, yes, you could say, but then Mustafizur Rahman at 2 crores. They've got Nagar Koti at 1.1 crore, Kuldeep Yadav at 2 crore. You've got those kind of really David Warner at 6.25. Mitchell Marsh as well. I think they want to replace Marcus Stoinis. They've really walked into this auction knowing what they're going to do. Shardul Thakur, that is an absolutely awesome signing. I still feel like CSK, because they bid some money for other players and they didn't have as much leading into this auction, that they couldn't spend that money for Thakur, and Delhi capitalized on it. Warner, Prithvi Shaw, I don't know who's going to be at number 3. I think probably Mitchell Marsh, since he bats there for Australia. Rishabh Pant 4. Someone else at 5. I don't know who's going to bat at number 6. You probably have to buy a 5 and 6. But then you've got Akshar Patel at 7, you could say, and then Thakur at 8. Anrik Nokia at 9, so you've got 3 pacers there, and you've got Mitchell Marsh, the all-rounder option as well. You could put Mustafizur Rahman 10, but if they want that real express pace along with Nokia, that you could say Rabada had the capacity to bowl. They could buy an overseas fast bowler who can bowl at the death, who I think that they need. Or they could stick with Mustafizur Rahman, who's a fine death bowler himself. And I think they could find a way to play Kuldeep Yadav as well. I think it's a very, very good side. And yeah, I just think that a few more, and then number 5 and 6 overseas batsmen. I think Vijay Shankar they could do, Delhi could do with buying him as well. 16.5 crores left. And yeah, let's see what they do. So that's the teams, how I think the teams performed. And Delhi, I think, clear winners of this auction. And the Mumbai Indians, despite the fact that they haven't really bought too many players, I think that they've also be fairly satisfied after this day 1 of the auction. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and please share this video with your friends. And remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?